or back home, you be and come bisa, but the BBR short na. The announcement ya udin kofi too short. Na me dia short na. And then the mint me no ni hon comment. Yanku ye ni me 8 minutes ode. Faye bibi na me hwe na me brefie.
We didn't come over the English Premiership. I think in the midweek, a lot of matches in the team and one of the crucial matches in the team and then you will be against Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City. But then this season, between the levels of these two football clubs in the English Premiership, I think Tottenham Hotspur has been able to break that deadlock. Not from last season, Manchester City on any other competition. I think this season, Ange Postecoglou's side has been a good side, a meeting against Manchester City because of say last under the first spell winning a lot of matches under Pep Guardiola. I think Tottenham Hotspur was able to beat that kind of team and to make a breaky that kind of deadlock at the moment. And this time around, they are meeting in the midweek in this particular tenor, and they are going to meet against Pep Guardiola in this particular crucial encounter. Only say the side of Manchester City on the league log at the feet is not good for the side of Manchester City. That's not the usual position of Manchester City at this particular moment in time. But then, if you are talking about Tottenham Hotspur, I'm also the 13th on the league log. William said they can easily surpass Crystal Palace to meet him about either the 12th or 11th on that particular league log in the English Premiership. So this game is going to play a major role and it's going to play a major crucial encounter between Ange Postecoglou and then Pep Guardiola. But then, we all know the side of Pep Guardiola. When he plays, he actually needs a lot of people that will dwell in the midfield. Since the absence of Rodrigo de Goes from the midfield of Manchester City, that particular midfielder has been shaky. And the Demaestro as a lonely pivot in that particular midfield for the side of Manchester City, and from Man City because of a certain Rodrigo was adding that Rodrigo system in that particular midfield, making sure the ball as a lonely pivot just to control the midfield and break the attacking zone of the opponent. But this time around, he has another fine midfielder who can easily do that particular job for Manchester City, Pep Guardiola. But then that level has not been there, and he has not been able to do that job for Pep Guardiola. But this Nico Gonzalez, who will be playing in that typical midfield as a lonely pivotal midfielder, making sure as a Pep Guardiola will match up with the 4-1-4-1 tactical flexibility, and also another thing a bit maybe Tottenham Hotspur. They say we all know Papa Ange Postecoglou. When he's actually playing his football, he playing the possession-based football. Although so a typical nature of total dominance football coach, but then he loves to play. So he loves to play in the counter-attacking style of football over there in the field of play. So over here in the midfield, meeting Nico Gonzalez as the only pivotal midfielder, it will be a clash between Nico Gonzalez and then Pape Matissa in the midfield, Rodrigo Bentancur also in that particular midfield. These are two pivotals. They don't actually move along with most of these attackers, so meeting me do the attacking third. When you reach this particular attacking third, you get Brendan Johnson flying high in the right wing forward. James Maddison as a half traditional number 8 and also as a creative midfielder will support Pepe Matassa and Rodrigo Bentancur in that particular solid midfield. So he will be that particular attacker who can easily organize the press for the side of Ange Postecoglou in that particular left midfield and as a right wing forward for the side of Tottenham Hotspur. When it becomes very difficult, Savino and then Jeremy Doku are inside forwards. This time around, Pep Guardiola, one of the core things about Timmy Edeman said, he don't usually play that kind of attacking width. He used most of these necessity to create most of these attackers that they can be inside attackers. So most of the time, so most Savino movements in that particular attacking third, he doesn't actually open up. He does that inside forward so high because of Savino or that kind of person. Now, when he get the ball, he loves to cut in. So when he cuts in, he makes sure Omar Mamouche will actually release himself in most of these available space on the bit create a lot of chances. At the actual Omar Mamouche. Forgetting the last 2 games in here, Omar Mamouche bought a typical hat-trick for the side of Manchester City. Or more may say Erling Haaland in the attacking team because Erling Haaland would disturb that kind of attack, defensive structure of Tottenham Hotspur. You get Ashley Gray and then Kevin down. So as the 2 center backs for the side of Tottenham Hotspur, he can easily disturb them. Now Papa Francis have been with for much, but Omar Mamouche is that kind of attacker who loves to actually get back in this particular creative attack. That is Phil Foden and Kelvin De Bruyne. He loves to actually transition himself into the attacking third, and then he creates a lot of enable spaces for Jeremy Doku to also dwell in. But Kevin De Bruyne making sure to make my ball as a half number 8, half number 10. Phil Foden as a typical creative in attacking third. They love to create overload. Manchester City, Pep Guardiola loves to create overload, whilst Papa Efrense Ange Postecoglou loves to break the press, more of counter-attacking system, using the likes of Son Heung-min and Bernard Johnson to counter the attacking system, that's the defense structure of, Manchester City. But then, say, that particular kind of magic up, Ange Postecoglou tell criteria over there in that particular November, match against Manchester City. He was able to win against Man City with the creative, orchestra of James Maddison. Maddison play, as an orchestra. Omo define that kind of act, Omo define act, boss. Omo football must say yo. They are that kind of people. When they have the ball, they have the flair to carry a lot of long processing passing to the attacking third. And when you get James Maddison, he can create a lot of chances for you. He can also create a lot of available spaces, and then he can dwell in those spaces. So this is Papa Kulusevski trying to cut in the ball for James Maddison. Now, James Maddison, he is trying to depict those kind of blank spaces between the center back of Kyle Walker and then Ruben Diaz over here at the center back. All those, they have Timo Werner, who is in there making sure to close up the gap. But James Maddison will come drop into the attacking third, make sure so Nubetima make a lot of runs into the attack, into the defensive structure of Manchester City, and he can easily obsess with a lot of play. So we check this kind of formality now. We know what breaking the counter press. At the Amada said Ange Postecoglou. Now count the number of Tottenham Hotspur players in attacking third of Manchester City or defensive structure. You get that close to about 5 players as compared to 4 players enabled in that particular penalty yard box of Manchester City. Telling you, say, when they break the attack, they have that speedsters who can easily run against most of these Manchester City or laterals. So when you get these kind of people, that's more runner. James Maddison will be that player who will be that kind of overlaying of between the attacking third and the mid third. Tottenham Hotspur. But over here, when the side of Manchester City is actually doing that particular possession run, this is how they do it. McCarthy said they do it in the ABOU. Say they use 2 attackers to pounce on the mid, and I said to pounce on the defensive structures of the opponents. This is a typical way Pep Guardiola tries to make pounce on Tottenham Hotspur for attacking, and over there in the midfield. This is a particular manner Ange Postecoglou will try to dwell a lot of numbers in the midfield. Pep Guardiola loves to depend on the tempo in the midfield, but he also loves to break a lot of things in the mid-third. Which this particular ball also carrying here, you get a lot of Tottenham Hotspur, midfielders or more into the midfield. You get close to about 4 solid midfielders in the center half of these particular football. But that boss, and a great game, Costa Copa de Rey in the Spanish La Liga. But then great game because of Edra, Barcelona and Atletico Timi called draw. Spanish La Liga and Penifone Shebia so making sure say they will have their Clasico in the Copa del Rey. When it comes to Copa del Rey, they be say I'm a Madrid fan, but then we leave it to Barcelona people because they know how to play the Copa del Rey even more than the Real Madrid Football Club. But then over the weekends, this is how Carlo Ancelotti was able to match up his first 11 over the weekend by 2 goals to nil against Girona, and then he made sure he will actually use Romani as the pivot, making sure we're releasing Modric to become an orchestra into the attacking third, and Ibrahim Diaz will add a lot of stability. Stability, they say, in attacking third, he doesn't actually dribble just to actually create a lot of available spaces, but then he loves to create a lot of chances. Just for Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo de Goes, and then Papa Vinicius Jr. to dwell on this creativity of chances. That is the reason why. That's the reason why when you see Madrid playing for Brahim Diaz, that's what when they love into attacking Cheddar, Brahim Diaz will love to create a lot of chances, and then he will actually make sure he will free up Modric to actually make sure someone will match a lot of goals. So look at that beautiful goal now. Modric share over there in the weekend. He loves to do that, and that's the hallmark of Luka Modric. But then into the defensive structure. Raul Asensio and Alaba had a fine form over the weekends, and I'm sure this particular game meeting against Real Sociedad, he can easily play as that particular centre back just to partner Raul Asensio or Nubetima Body side of Real Madrid Football Club. Philon Mendy as a left full back for the side of Real Madrid has been spectacular. Who saw a lot of overruns in that particular left full laterals for Real Madrid Football Club. Lucas Vazquez so creating a lot of mistakes at the toe that particular right full lateral in the Real Madrid Football Club. So Real Sociedad will actually pounce on Real Madrid Football Club.
Maybe a Lucas Vazquez.
So this particular game, it will be a crucial encounter. So Real Sociedad any Real Madrid Football Club share boss. Yana edging. I'm tipping say Real Madrid Football Club can easily win in over 1.5.
Mate, me da se pe ye